If you ask 10 cyclists what hurts when they ride a bike, then it is quite likely they'll say their bum. Well, finding the right saddle could drastically improve your on-bike comfort, but it's a job that's easier said than done. Well, in this video, we're going to find out the secrets to finding the right saddle for your bum. Obviously, as cyclists, there are lots of places that can sometimes hurt on the bike, but I don't think any are more common than your bum hurting. And it doesn't seem to matter whether you're a new cyclist, an experienced cyclist, none of us are immune to bum pain.
Yeah, 100%.
Why is it that my bum hurts when I cycle?
Now, I would probably say the reason why is the area you get most discomfort is because it's the area that you're able to adjust your position on the most, in the sense that when you're fixed at a cleat, there's no moving around. The shifter is ergonomically designed to be fixed in that position. The saddle, however, you can have some people that gravitate towards a nose, sit further back, sit off to one side, asymmetrically. So all of those things account for kind of what we're going to discuss in this video. Can cause potential saddle sores, lower back pain, numbness. By no means is this video going to be sitting here saying this is the best saddle, go buy this, because if it was, it would be so much more simple. There are a few things to look out for and understand that may help you guide a purchase of a new saddle.
So is it my saddle causing me discomfort?
Potentially. It also could be fitting of a short. Most likely it's bike fit related. I have seen probably some cases, some people come in with a bag of sort of 10 saddles and they're like, right, before I buy the 11th one, can you tell me which is the best one to buy? And it's why I don't do a standalone saddle fitting service, because it's normally another parameter that's set. And if someone came in to try and buy a new saddle and saddle height was wrong, cleats in the wrong location, reach too long, gravitating towards the nose because of that, it's no matter what saddle we put on, they're gonna be finding discomfort. So yeah, it could be, if you're going through multiple saddles and you're still not finding one that's right, then it's probably a bike fit related thing. There are a few things to look out for. Now, as humans, we were not evolved and designed to sit on these bits of foam. Now, naturally when we do, and if something's not sat right and we're potentially off to one side or sitting on the wrong part of a saddle, numbness, the saddle sores we get can be quite bad. Now, cutouts, these are really common, and I generally am leaning towards placing people on a cutout, just some kind of pressure relief channel that's gonna encourage blood flow. So when we're kind of selecting the saddles, a few things we wanna look for. One is we measure sit bones. So basically measure your ischial tuberosity, or the basically distance between the two sit bones. By no means is that going to say this saddle is definitely going to work for you. It just gives us an indication as to potentially are we needing to go away from the norms of saddle width. Saddles come in a range of widths, everything from sort of something like this is sort of in a 130 region up to like a 155 region. Generally, the 140 market is quite full of saddles, which is great because I'm seeing a lot of people when I'm measuring the sit bones, they're sort of around that, they're interacting with that sort of width of saddle quite well. However, sit bone measurements or width, for example, is nothing to do with body size. I've had 5'8" males in here measuring sort of 90 millimeters, and then all the way up to sort of 130, 140, and the same with 6'4" guys, they could be measuring down around like the 80 mark. So it's not as straightforward as to go, oh, I'm a big guy, put a big saddle on or a wider saddle. Generally though, moving towards a pressure relief channel is beneficial. It's going to promote blood flow. Now, problem is, I see a lot of bikes that come with saddles probably quite similar to this sort of shape. I refer to them as like planks of wood. They're basically just a flat surface area with no pressure relief channel, quite a long nose. We probably call this like a traditional shape saddle. Something like the old school Physique, Arione and Harez they come a lot on bike stock. And the reason for that is you can find a relative degree of comfort. So if we're talking about having to sit in kind of quite a particular place on the saddle to find comfort, with these saddles, the bike manufacturer just wants to put a saddle on that people are going to sit on, and they could potentially sit there, and find a relative degree of comfort. Now, we're not finding relative degrees, we're trying to find like absolute comfort, so we go a little bit more in detail to that. But what normally happens when you don't have a pressure relief channel is you posteriorly rotate your pelvis away from the nose. It's a subconscious thing you do to potentially alleviate soft tissue pressure, potential numbness, and that sensation of rolling away is going to affect your whole interaction with the front of the bike. Your spine's going to be in a completely different shape to what it wants to be in. Lower back pain, the reach is going to feel too long, potential compensations at the front. Again, then people dip the nose to compensate that, and then that brings in more issues. So the time I probably do use this, something like this, and it tends to get better feedback, is if someone's sitting asymmetrically on the saddle, mainly on how their kind of pelvis is interacting with the saddle, if they're maybe off to one side, and we're in the process of trying to bring them more symmetrical. It's not a straightforward thing of they leave here, perfect symmetry. Bike fitting's a continual process done over a number of visits. So bringing them symmetrical, sometimes with a little bit more surface area, they can potentially allow symmetry to come back whilst being comfortable, if that makes sense. So something like this one here, the G Biomise saddle, getting really good feedback from this. It's bigger surface area, it does have a cutout, but it does have a portion at the back that kind of I'm finding that it's allowing people who do sit maybe slightly off to one side, and we're bringing them back to symmetrical over a period of time, that they can get a real good amount of comfort, stability and support from this. So this is very much like the shoe video we made. It's all about stability, all about support. So yeah, something like that gets good feedback. When you're stepping away from we're kind of quite generic in what we're prescribing here, but if you're kind of looking towards racing cyclists, where they're massively rotating their pelvis forward, like massive anterior rotation, closing off that hip angle, it's a different ball game again, because they're going to be interacting with a different part of their ischial tuberosities. They're going to be rotating themselves forward. As this gets more, as you anterior rotate, it becomes narrower, so saddle width is kind of taking a little bit more out of the equation then. Again, triathlon and TT bikes, even more aggressive again. So different saddles, a bit like this ISM, just really encourages you to rotate that pelvis forward. So saddle shape then, that's kind of like, as different disciplines require sort of like a different shape. So maybe one slightly more curved at the rear is going to encourage and promote that rotation. Something to note with these is I see them sometimes on people's bikes who are just generally riding, like maybe recreationally, and it's almost a plaster for something not being correct. Yes, because of there being actually no nose and a really big pressure relief channel, it can promote blood flow, reduce chance of numbness, but it's normally a compensation for potentially something not set. So a big thing to take away from this is, if you're getting discomfort from your saddle, you're getting those saddle sores, numbness, maybe lower back pain, could be stemming from other areas, your foot connection, your symmetry on the bike, your level of function, leg length discrepancies. All of these things play a massive role in how you sit on the saddle. One thing to note generally is, as you're changing saddles, if you're trialing saddles out, not all of them have the same stack or profile of height, so take that into account when you're putting different saddles on. If you put a saddle on that has a much bigger stack, then your saddle height is technically going to go up, and saddle discomfort could be caused by that. So just bear that in mind.
So I get that one saddle isn't going to be perfect for everyone, but is there any generalizations that you can make?
So it's as I mentioned about sit bone width, yes, that does come into account, but generally looking at the shape of the pelvis and how, when you interact with the bike, your pelvis is going to change shape. Kind of trying to create some similarities between them in terms of if you think you are a more aggressive racing type cyclist, something with a bit more of a curve, something with potentially a bit more width that carries on, maybe not as an aggressive flare, because you can have 10 saddles that are all 140 millimeters wide that shaped differently, and where that shape comes in is different again. So it takes a bit of judgment, and it's why walking into a bike shop and buying a saddle is not a suitable way to go. And I know it's difficult when people are out there trying to find a new saddle and they maybe not have a bike fitter near them, but general rule of thumb is, yeah, if you can try and measure your sit bones, it'll give you a rough estimate. Try and find one with a big pressure relief channel, big cutout, and then based on the sort of riding you're going to do, have a little look on some forums or some reviews of people that have kind of been using that. Group rides are great, ask people, but definitely don't go down the route of John, my friend, really likes this saddle, so I'm going to buy one, because that's not how it's going to work. Especially to talk about lady saddles in particular, because obviously their pelvis anatomy was designed to push a baby out, so a lot wider sit bones. And I think definitely in the world of cycling, they are kind of ignored potentially with like non-gender specific bikes, and it's very rare to come across saddles like that. So this SLR lady saddle goes down really well with a lot of women that come in, just due to the shape of it, the way the padding sits, the width, because they've got that wider sit bones, a little bit more upright. They may prefer that. So yeah, to general rule of thumb is the less aggressive your position is, the more you're going to be sitting on a wider part of your sit bone. So generally like a 150mm saddle, if you've got a wider sit bone, nice upright position, you may find a bit more comfortable. So yeah, it's not that specific, and it's probably quite annoying because you may have clicked on this video thinking I was going to give you the answer, but generally think about, if you're running multiple saddles, it's probably not the saddle, it's probably something else going on. If you feel like you're shifting around a lot on the saddle, that's a sign something's going on. If you feel unstable, not planted and all that, then it's probably a sign it's something with your fit rather than just a saddle.
Let us know any of your saddle woes down in the comments section below, but please, please, please keep them PG. If you found this content useful, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for lots more bike fit advice and other bike stuff. We'll see you next time.